All right. I think it's on now. It should be. My name is UltraDavid, and welcome to Level 3 Focus. This is the show that I'll be doing. Of course, James and I are going to be doing separate shows, and tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to be doing a joint show. But today, it's our separate things. James was more for newcomers, and mine is going to be more for people who already know how to play at a basic level or who are just interested in watching stuff at a high level. And you might wonder, well, why should we care about you when it comes to high level play? I'm just a commentator, right? I'm just kind of a talking head. That's all that I do anymore. But actually, that hasn't always been the case. I actually used to play games myself, and I get a lot of flack for that nowadays that I don't play. But I'll talk a little bit about when I used to play, what I was known for, and why I don't play nowadays. So I started playing in the arcades, but relatively late, actually. Not until about 2002 did I start at college. And I started on Super Turbo. That's the game that brought me into the scene. It just happened to be like that. And in fact, it was in part because I was very, very shy at the time, actually. I was extremely quiet. And one of the few people who really tried to help me out was this guy named Brian. And he helped me out with Super Turbo. We played. He was a good player. He taught me things, and that really helped develop an appreciation for me in Super Turbo. Oh, wait. I am on, right? Am I on? I think I'm just talking to you guys. Oh, I am? No, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I am. I just wanted to make sure. Streaming. All right, anyway, so then after a little while, I got into playing Third Strike because that was the game at the time. And I actually really, really liked it. And it turned out that I wasn't terrible at it. I wasn't great at it either. But I felt confident enough in it to start writing facts. And so my character of choice was Q. I'm just going to run a little bit of a video in the background of me playing Q, just so you don't have to look at my mug the entire time. So this is me versus Eric Lee. At the time, I lived in Washington, D.C., and so I got to play those guys out there. I was Q, and again, not great, but good enough to really start looking at the game from a strategic perspective. And I wrote this big FAQ. I started it in 2004, and it went on for a couple of years, and it got to a point where it was something like 50 pages in Word, just exploring everything. It's actually still on shoryuken.com, and people are still using it. So that's kind of where I got started. That's how anybody knew who I was at the start, and I was known enough that when I studied abroad in London, they knew who I was and welcomed me, and it was really cool. But that didn't last all that long, actually. After a while, Third Strike kind of ran its course for me, and I moved on. A new game came out, and that was Street Fighter 4. And so that's this. In Street Fighter 4, I played Zangief, and I got to play against a guy named Ed Ma. Actually, you know what? This is totally. Let me small and size this. Yeah, small and size is a word. That's right. Actually, this is not really working out that well. So let me just move back to me. So I played Zangief and wasn't terrible. I managed to win some tournaments, and got good enough that in the video that I was showing, that was actually me on Alex Valle's team. He invited me to be on his team. I think we won that tournament or got second place at that tournament. But there was a string of tournaments, of 8 tournaments, where I won or got top 3 each time. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep playing. At the time, I was studying for the bar exam. Took up a lot of time. I couldn't really keep it up continuously. So I kind of had to stop playing in terms of like the like hardcore competitive time. I couldn't really spend all that much time on it anymore. And so what I became instead for a while was kind of like a training mode monster. Let's see if this one works. Well, you're still not getting the whole thing. Yo, can we resize this? Because apparently we sized YouTube to like the one that's different size.
What do you mean?
Like, look at this. It's only like accepting part of it.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Let's see.
I know. I'm so bad.
It's all good. We're learning.
Doing stuff. So anyway, what I'm going to show you is a video that I came out with about option selects, and this is how a lot of people heard about me for the first time. I was just talking with Flo, and this was the first time that he heard about me was with option selects.
Well, this was just the video that I just happened to be.
This is the video that you were talking about, yeah, and it's kind of important because it's all about understanding the minuteness of the game engine. At the time, option selects were not a very common thing at all. In American Street Fighter, they had just started to be used in Japan, and I don't know that anybody had really broken down option selects in the same way in the United States until I did this kind of thing. Let me just turn that down. So, I go over some option selects with Zangief, basic stuff like crouch text that now everybody uses, and other things like safe jump roundhouse, option select, green hand, that kind of thing. Flo's shaking his head because he doesn't like it, but I love it because it's investigating the game engine, it's looking at all the details, looking at all the options, and figuring out which ones are the best, and then in practice figuring out how to apply them. And so I actually used this in tournaments and blew a lot of people up, and they were very angry about it. I remember I played against able players, and I had some really mean crap against able players, and they were really upset. But so this lasted for a while. Then Super came out, and I did kind of a similar thing with Super, where I investigated a character that I really liked a lot, and that was Hakan. And so this is what I think people nowadays more associate me with in terms of character selection is Hakan. Because I came up with a lot of this early technology with Hakan, focusing through things, using dash normal canceling and Crisco cancels and things like that you see the non-existent Hakans use nowadays. If anybody gets good with Hakan, this is the stuff that they're going to be using. So I kind of developed a reputation for being like a man of details and like really investigating stuff deeply. And like I said, I wasn't bad at the game either. I was, for a period of time, I won tournaments, and that was nice. But it didn't really last all that long, unfortunately. So this is why I don't really play anymore. I'd love to be playing, but I can't. At least at like a high level competitive sort of way. And the reason for that is that I developed this condition called cervical radiculopathy, which means that there's a nerve in my neck that's being impinged upon by the bones in that area, and that is the nerve that just happens to go through my arms and into my hands. And so in this impingement, the results are that I can't really control my hands as well as I used to. They kind of don't listen that well, and even when they do, it's kind of at a delayed response. So it's a little bit like playing in lag all the time. The reason that I bring this video up is that this is me playing at Evo using Dan, and this is one of the few examples of where it's obvious that I really can't play. And so, let's see, there's a particularly like bad set of moments, if I recall correctly, somewhere in this round. So I have the first round. I'm pretty much trying to get in there, push him into the corner, and I end up doing that. But if I recall correctly, he like wakes up with something that I just handle really poorly. And at the time, Ski Sonic, yeah. So I didn't get the anti-air dragon punch there, but it gets a little bit worse. Let's see. Do I have the right spot? Yeah. Okay. So I don't block that one, and then I also don't block that one either, for pretty much no reason. There's no counter hit. I just didn't do it. And so that's why I don't play anymore, because I kind of can't. And I'd love to still be playing in tournaments and competing, but it's not really in the cards. Luckily, I have this commentary gig to fall back on, and so that's what I've really thrown myself into. Unfortunately, I'm not playing much, but that doesn't mean that I can't still think about things well enough to talk about them and to break down moments and matches in strategy. And that's what I'm going to be doing in this show. This show, Level 3 Focus, is going to be about homing in on particular moments in fighting game matches and talking about the important moments and why they're important, and talking about the strategy and really trying to get as much as possible out of relatively short period of match video, trying to get all the little tasty nuggets out of everything, and I hope that you don't just look at me as just being some talking head in doing this, because I used to be a Street Fighter player, and I still kind of retain that mentality. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break now, and when I come back, we're going to start talking about a match. And I saw some people were actually complaining earlier that they saw Dominion and Arturo on, but that's actually why I want to talk about this match. That some people might think that it's boring, but actually I think it's super, super interesting, and I really like it, and it's really fun for me. And I hope to explain to you kind of why I think it's going to be fun after the break. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. God, this is just going terribly.
I'll get it. I got it here. It's already here.
Oh really?
Yeah. If you just go to that tab right there, the UltraChen tab right
Mm-hmm.
there, and just click commercial.
Commercial. I am definitely day 0 right now. Okay, so now I need to get that video up there.
Which video?
The Dominion versus Arturo.
Oh, the one that I downloaded already.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Day -1? Thanks, thanks, Fluff.
All right, let's see.
Huh? Yeah, I know, that's why I stopped.
Do you want to use it with control, or do you want it with sound?
No sound.
No sound. Okay. So let's minimize this. Let's minimize this real quick. It's this one right here. Type there. And we're just gonna capture that directly.
Right.
QuickTime. Is it already working? Let's take a look. QuickTime. Yep, it's already there.
All right, cool. Nice.
Just switch over.
God, Macs are such a mystery. All right, cool. So hopefully we should be back and on right now. Yeah. All right, cool. So, like I said, this match is going to be Arturo and Dominion from the Big 2 tournament just a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago. Thanks to Spooky for allowing us to use the footage. You can follow Spooky on Twitter at Team Spooky, or check them out. They have Wednesday tournaments, for example, the Big 2, that you can check out at twitch.tv/Team Spooky. So it's really nice of him to allow us to use this. And let me just talk about this match a little bit. So there it is. Let's just start it up.
You guys seen it before? It's really a testament to some high-level play.
All right, so this is going to be, as you can see, Guile versus Rose. This is kind of a cool matchup to me. It's not a fast-paced, crazy matchup. It's not a mix-up heavy matchup. And for a lot of people, it's not a very interesting match to watch, but that's because they're looking at Street Fighter in what I think is kind of the wrong way. It's not, as James was saying, just about up-close craziness and button pressing and that kind of thing. It's a strategic game of spacing and option control and space control and, maximizing your damage output and your control of the opponent. And that's why I think this is a cool match, because it really exemplifies all of that. Dominion, as the Guile player, has kind of a disadvantaged matchup here against Rose. Just move on a little bit. Because, and I guess I'll just let the match play while I kind of go over it. So you can see it first and see how it goes. And then I'll go back and break it down a little bit more in depth. It's a matchup that's kind of hard for Guile because Rose is just really strong at dealing with the fireball game. Her reflect game, as you could see at the start of the round, is really strong. And it's hard for Guile to put up kind of like the mid-range space control game that he usually wants to play against that kind of a thing. He's going to get thrown in the corner. And it's hard for him to battle out. And Rose has not just good options in the space control department, in the fireball department, or the reflect department even. She has reasonable fireballs in this match, and she builds just a ton of meter, which is nice. It allows her to do things like EX reflect, or to maximize damage if she ever gets in. And so she has all these kinds of good options, and Guile is really just starting out from a bad position. So the question is, what does Guile do about this? How does he deal with this kind of a matchup where his traditional kinds of space control don't really work out as well? Well, he has to be a little bit more proactive in what he does. Rose has to play to keep him in the corner. That's where she wants. And as you can see, if Art keeps Dominion in there, that's going to be a great play for him. So let's go back to this previous round here. All right, so we'll start out, and you can see that Dominion recognizes this, that he knows that the traditional kind of space control doesn't really work that well against Rose with a reflect game. He'll try it out just at the very start, as you can see, with booms, maybe just to test Art, to make sure that Art is on point with his reflect game, and as you can see, Art is definitely doing a pretty good job of that. And so when Dominion sees this, he can't do much other than just kind of walk backwards. And Art does what he can to push him into the corner. So now, let's stop right there. So Dominion recognizes he's being put into the corner, and that's a terrible situation for him, because that's where Rose is really good with frame traps and with her great throw range and with just chipping him to death. And it's just not a great look for him. So he tries to jump, as you can see. Let's back up a little bit here. So he tries to jump, but that's just the wrong range. And you can see right there, he lands right on that Crouching Fierce. But Rose doesn't just have Crouching Fierce. She also has the EX Soul Throw, and she has Ultra 2 when that is stocked. So she has these anti-airs that he has to kind of worry about. So he gets popped right back down to the corner. Art makes sure to press a button to keep him in there. And now, again, they're in this kind of corner situation. So what does Dominion have to get out of this? Well, so let's go over what Guile's options are a little bit. So he has Sonic Boom. We've seen him try that out, and it just didn't work that great. He got pushed back at the start of the round after testing Art to see whether Art was on top of reflect game and all that kind of stuff. Here he is now, and he has to kind of pick another option. We saw Jump. Jump didn't work that well either. So now two of Guile's options for getting out of the corner, for building space, controlling space, have been removed by the way Arturo is playing. Jumps are gone because of Crouching Fierce and the other anti-airs. And Sonic Booms are just not that effective. So Guile's other options are a set of normal moves that are decent for this kind of job. And I think that we're going to see Dominion go to that pretty soon here. So yeah, that toward roundhouse. I love that toward roundhouse. That toward roundhouse makes my day. That is the smartest thing. What he does with that toward roundhouse is he takes control back from Art just a little bit, just enough to get Art off of him, because now after that spacing, let's go back here after that toward roundhouse. So look at this. Here Dominion starts out with his back at maximum corner, which again is just a bad situation to be in. You don't want to be there. So he picks this toward roundhouse right when he knows Art is not going to be pressing a button. Now the blowback from that, look where it puts Art. A little bit farther out. This is still a range where Art has a little bit of control of the corner, but it's a little bit too close to do things like reflect on reaction. And Dominion knows that. So immediately he goes to this. And you see Art actually had the focus into the focus backdash, expecting this kind of thing to happen. So that focus backdash was not on reaction. It was predictive. Because he knows that after that toward roundhouse, Guile can kind of take control of the situation a little bit better than before. So he gets tossed out. And this is a way for Dominion to get out of the corner, at least to some extent. He throws another boom, which might have been a little bit ill-advised because it allows for Art to get back into this situation. Let's see. All right, well, whatever. So we see again that Dominion is caught in this corner. He's looking for ways to get out. Sweep, focus dash toward, that kind of thing. One of them works out. And he takes the opportunity not to stay in the corner because, again, he knows how bad that situation can be for him, how that's just not a winning position on screen. He moves forward, and he takes some life off of Arturo. So now his back is out of the corner. He's up in the life in the life game. He has both the positional advantage right here. I mean, this is, or I should say, more like right here, which is great for Guile because the more space he has between his back and the corner, the more effective Guile can be. That space is something that allows him to sort of control the space in front of him better. And the way that it does that is by giving him a threat. His threat is, I'll keep moving backwards, and I'm going to throw a boom or I'm going to walk forward with something like a normal at some point that you're just not going to expect. That means that he can better throw booms, just having a threat. And you see the boom right there. Art knows about this kind of thing. Again, Dominion trying to jump out. Again, the crouching fierce on reaction right there. This is the ultra happening, and Art's going to try to get a little bit of a mix-up game out of this. Doesn't really work out super well, but he gets the close medium afterward. So now again, we have this awesome. Let's actually go back here a little bit. We have this spacing that was great for Art. Actually, let's do this. Yeah, okay, this is fine. So after this happens, we have this spacing that is really strong for Arturo right about, let's see, a little bit. Okay, so it was right there. This is a range that Guile would rather be in than with his back to the corner, but which Art now, after having, established the fact that he's not jumping a lot, he's really just kind of playing like a frontal, grounded sort of game. He's established that, and Dominion recognizes this, the establishment. You can see he's standing up. He doesn't have down charge. He doesn't have charge for flash kick. Instead, he's trying to actively control space with things like sonic booms. Again, Art knows what's going on here, and so he does this really, really smartly timed jump, which pays off hugely for him. Even though that's not a ton of damage, in this kind of a matchup, which is mostly attrition, that's actually about as good as he could have done right there. He could have tacked on an EX for a little bit more damage, but not a huge deal. Again, Dominion trying to get out. But this range right here with Rose's crouching medium punch is not a good look for him. He's trying to go for the same kind of things that worked out well for him before with the toward roundhouse to get him out, or the back roundhouse, whatever, the walking roundhouse. And Art recognizes this and takes control of that space. So in just this short round, you can see, well, short, I guess is a manner of speaking because it went 43 seconds, but in this kind of a set, that is, in fact, a little bit short. We can see all sorts of really interesting kinds of space control happening. You can see the control that Rose gets just by the threat of reflect or by actively pressing reflect. You can see the range that Guile does not want to stand at. He doesn't want to have his back to the corner, of course, but there are also ranges that are dangerous for him, like that range that Rose jumped at predictively over the sonic boom. The range right here at crouching medium punch for Rose, where Guile just doesn't have very good options. You can also see that when Art got in, he kind of maximized his damage, but Dominion did a great job with that too. When he came in after the toward roundhouse and after pushing Art back a little bit, he dealt some damage. And as you can see, in terms of life, it's not at all a lopsided round. Even though, from the spacing perspective, it was mostly fought where our Art wants to be. So we have all these cool little spacing ideas happening. And again, I really, really love that roundhouse that Art went to. That makes my day. I'm sorry, that Dominion went to. And the reason that it makes my day is that it's kind of an adaptation in the match. While it's going on, he recognizes that he can't be at this certain range. Instead, he's got to do something. Jumps don't work. Sonic booms don't work. Flash kick is just an extremely risky idea right there. So he's got to try to build some space, and he does. Well, let's move on a little bit in round 2 here. So you can see that it's kind of playing out as this match often does, which is to go into the corner. Rose trying to, again, push him in there. You can see Dominion is playing a little bit differently now. He's not going for quite as many sonic booms, or at least as many passive booms. He's trying to do other things. He's trying to use his normals. Let's go back a little bit. He's trying to use EX boom to push back now that he has this meter. You can see with that roundhouse, the sweep, it was about trying to get that knockdown, trying to get the knockdown so that Rose would have to move backwards so that he could get space as he did in the previous round. So he's back to this range right here. Rose trying to take control of things, and a little bit of a weird timing on the fireball there. It allowed Dominion to try to jump out. Dominion trying to build that space again, but just doesn't really work out that well. So now we're not okay. Let's go back to this fireball. This is a really interesting fireball here from Art. So there's a range. Let's see. Yeah, most of a screen right here. This is an interesting range that a lot of people kind of have trouble throwing fireballs at. They're not really sure what to do about this range. In throwing a fireball, you have to think about it as kind of like an additional poke, or as saying that as this fireball goes along the screen, you want to be thinking, okay, this is my space. All the space here, this is also my space. Ideally, you want to try to maximize what kind of space control this fireball has. You don't want to throw fireballs instead that will allow any more opportunities for your opponent. They need to be about controlling your opponent's opportunities. But this is not really that kind of fireball, and that's why I'd like to highlight this. This is what I call kind of like a welcoming fireball. This is like opening up your door. It's like a welcome mat. It's saying, as this fireball moves across the screen, Rose doesn't really have control over any of this area right here because she's still, of course, busy throwing that fireball. If she had thrown it from a little bit farther away, she would have been able to retain control of that fireball by, just recovering in time, being able to come up here with some kind of a jump attack, or walking up with the Crouching Fierce, or getting in the EX Soul Throw, something like that. But instead, she throws it at a range that allows Dominion this kind of entrance. And that's really bad for Art. Because again, Art wants to take that control of that corner. He can do that. But he's not doing it right here. He's letting Dominion out. So Dominion gets out. Now he has this space behind him, which is just a little bit more than he had before. But just that little bit is good enough to make his threats more credible. His EX booms are a little bit more dangerous here. His normals are a little bit more dangerous here just because he has the threat of, hey, I'm going to move backwards. I'm going to throw fireballs or normals at any kind of a time, and you have to be worried about that. So Art is, gets a little bit baited there, sees the crouching roundhouse and tries to get in. Unfortunately, doesn't hit the combo the whole way, but that's not really what he's worried about. He's most worried about this spacing right here. So let's let this play out a little bit and see what happens. Oh, that's right. So I wanted to talk about this. So that throw is kind of it's an attempt by Art to deal some damage. So in this range right here, after this throw, Guile can't really do things like a flash kick. A flash kick at this range is just going to whiff on the crouching medium kick cross up. So Art obviously knows this and goes for the cross up medium kick. Dominion knows it too, and so he's not going to wake up with anything. And he knows that this is really only good if it's going to be a cross up. Clearly, the timing that Art had used was cross up timing. And so Art, in trying to get this damage, ideally for him, the cross up hits, he gets a combo, he throws Dominion back into the corner afterward, or knocks Dominion back into the corner afterward, I should say. And he deals some nice damage while retaining the position. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. And it's not what happens because Dominion knows Rose's options just as well as Art does, and he knows to block the cross-up. So really what Art has done here is instead of taking this kind of position where he's very close to where Dominion is close to the corner. See, if Art had thrown Dominion forward, that would have been a corner opportunity and a great situation for Art where he has this life advantage, the positional advantage, and using that positional advantage, he's able to whittle down Dominion's life. Instead, he throws Dominion out, and even though Art ends up on the right side of the corner from his perspective, he kind of missed an opportunity there to keep his opponent into the corner more and play those up close games that he did right there. You know, he got the close medium kick when Dominion was looking to maybe to tech a throw, but he could have gotten that stuff with Dominion's back immediately to the corner anyway. And this is a really nice reaction right there from Dominion. Now look at this. So after Dominion lands this Ultra 2, you know, again, he knows how bad being in the corner is in this matchup. So he throws the Sonic Boom, and he uses it and the focus attack dash cancel afterward as a way to get out of the corner. Not only does he get out of the corner, but his back is not even going to end up in the same direction. It's on the complete opposite side now. And after this throw, I'm sorry, it doesn't work, but it's very close to being even on life. And with the spacing that he has now, he has these threats that he didn't otherwise have. Again, to control space and to use that space to whittle down Art's life. You can see he gets in there. He does not want to be towards the corner, so he's trying to be a little bit more active now. Art getting the knockdown is going to pressure here. And that was a really nice fake right there. Of course, Dominion looking to block the orbs, doesn't get it. Instead, it's a throw for Art. So you can see in this game, in game one, it's a constant battle for positioning because positioning allows you in this matchup and in general in Street Fighter to hurt your opponent, to deal damage. You can use it as a threat. That can be just as a threat that can be used to deal damage or directly to deal damage. But that's clearly what this match is all about. Because Art was able to, for the most part, control Dominion as he wanted to, he ends up taking it. Dominion, of course, fought back really, really well. That the walking roundhouse in the first round enabled him to get out and to start enough of a fight that the life advantage didn't end up terribly for him. And in the second round here, you see after the Ultra 2 knockdown, the Sonic Boom, focus dash toward, allowed him to get out of the corner. Again, he doesn't end up working out all the way, but when Dominion had that positional advantage was when he was able to deal the most damage. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. Going to stop talking about this matchup for now, and I'll see you on the other side, I should say, of this break. I think it's going all right, but I don't know. Who knows? Oh, the commercial is going. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really been looking at it that much. That's a good idea. Yeah, we should do that. No, that's cool. Actually, oh, did the last commercial not work? Oh yeah, it did. It doesn't go for everybody. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, welcome back. My name is UltraDavid. Thanks for watching. This is the first night. We're still trying to get some of the kinks worked out. We actually did do a couple of test streams to try to work out the kinks, but of course today stuff broke that we didn't really intend or expect to break. So what are you gonna do? But anyway, thanks for tuning in. So we've been talking about Dominion versus Arturo, a match that happened at Big 2 a couple of weeks ago, and the reason that we're talking about this is that it's a really good example of spacing and space control and option control. And those are the things that fighting games are mostly about. There are other matches where they're not as obvious. Different characters make it a little bit less obvious. Those matches can be faster. They can be more exciting in a way. But to me personally, the most interesting things about Street Fighter are, or I should say fighting games, and I'm going to make the same mistake that James does about saying Street Fighter instead of fighting games in general, just because that's how we were raised. But we're talking about fighting games in general when we say that. So the most interesting thing to me is the strategic kind of battle, the overall space control. It's not the individual moments per se that might be fun to watch. It's not the individual mix-ups. A mix-up is something that happens when you've built an advantage for yourself already. It's kind of a payoff in a way. That's the way that I used to think about it as Zangief, and why I started building option selects, was that I wanted to maximize my payout when I did what I wanted to do in terms of the overall strategic gameplay. What I wanted to do as Zangief was play kind of like a footsie battle, force the opponent backwards, and force him into a situation that was good for me, to get a knockdown, to force him into a situation where he had to guess, because I knew that in those guesses, I had the big advantage. If I guess right, I take a lot of damage off of him. If I guess wrong, I can take some damage depending on who the character is, but in general, it's not going to be as much as if I guess right. And the options are weighted anyway, so that I'm more likely to come out ahead than he is. But that's even more the case if I get the option selects. But like I said, that's only the payoff. Those mix-ups are only the payoff of what is an overall kind of strategy. So I want to, in doing these videos, I want to kind of draw a distinction, I should say, between strategy and tactics, and something like a general strategy would be sort of like what arts is in this match. Let's just go back to it for a little bit. So what Art wants to do is he wants to use his reflect and his fireball and his jumps to push, and even his combos to push Daimanian into the corner, because Art knows that once he gets Daimanian into the corner, not only is that the payoff of successful strategy, and most likely he will have taken off significant life by the time he gets Daimanian there. But that's also kind of like the sweet spot for him. So he wants to set up the sweet spot. All the things that he does, all these things, are just with that in mind. It's in furtherance of this overall goal of trying to force Daimanian into the corner and trying to keep control of as many of his options as possible. And so now Art is in there. And even though on life it looks pretty even, right now this is hugely in Art's favor, because he knows that if he has Daimanian there, he'll be able to whittle him down. Like we were saying in the first game, he's able to play the games that he wants to play, to cage Daimanian in. And from that spot, Daimanian just doesn't have very good options. And you can see that there's a little bit of an adaptation here from Art. In the previous game, Daimanian was able to get out of here by using this toward roundhouse to push Art back. If that had hit, Art goes over here. And that's kind of a blow-up for him, because that's just not as good. But he smartly stands at a range that is not going to be hit by that walking roundhouse. And so again, we see him pressuring. Well, let's just let this run, I guess. He's got this pressure in the corner. This is the payoff of the strategy that he had before. This is where he wants to be. And in being there, you could see he took off half life. Well, a little bit more now. And so, okay, enough of that, I guess. So, understand that individual tactics, like the use of a particular button or the use of a particular special or a particular mix-up, those aren't really what fighting games are about. Fighting games are about having some kind of overall idea that you're going to be pursuing, having a game plan and sticking to it. That's really what the most important thing is. one of the most important things about a guy who has kind of come onto the scene relatively lately, Noah, if you're familiar with him, this 8 or 9 year old now kid, is that he has a game plan. And that's something that very, very few people his age have. He has kind of a set idea of what he's going to be doing. He sticks to it. And in sticking to it, he's able to do something that relatively few people can really do at a reasonable level of play. And that's why he ends up winning, because he has these game plans, these strategies. It's not just about the individual tactics for him. It's about this whole greater concept of what he should be doing. Okay, I'm going to take another little break and come back and I guess close this thing out.
I think we forgot to turn on the simulate mouse pointer
Oh, really?
on the QuickTime video. So when you were pointing at stuff in the video, I don't think anybody could see that.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay, well we'll get it next time. That's all right.
Sorry about that. I completely forgot to turn it on.
Yeah, I know about the sound being off a little bit. You can't see the mouse pointer. Okay, well, all right, we'll get that. We'll get that next time. No big deal. Like I said, this is the first time that we're doing it live in kind of like a big way, so not much of a surprise to see that kind of thing. So, having done this match, I guess I want to talk about what I'm going to be doing in this show in general. It's not going to be about the same thing every time. This time, just kind of introducing you to the ideas of spacing and space control and option control and how that comes up in a particular matchup. But there are lots of other things to be talking about. Mix-ups are a thing that lots of people like to talk about, but that I kind of feel like are poorly understood. And so that's kind of a topic to talk about in the future. Footsies in general, something that very, very few people master, that I can't at all claim to be a master at, for example, but that can be understood in kind of a strategic way that is pretty interesting. Of course, we're not just going to be going over Street Fighter anyway. There's lots of cool stuff to talk about in Marvel, lots of cool stuff to talk about in KOF and in Soul Calibur, which just came out, which I'm trying out. And I'd also like to talk about older games as well, the games that I came in on, that I know best, like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Those games that have a lot of depth, that have kind of gone by the wayside now, but that are still really, really good for illuminating things like space control and footsies and mix-ups and all these little things that go into a fighting game match. So we'll be going over that kind of stuff quite a bit. I'd also love for people to, send me match videos that you think are interesting, that you'd like to hear talked about. I don't necessarily always want to just do top-level players. I'd like to occasionally at least look at a match between somebody who's a little bit lower level, somebody who might want some kind of advice on how to be playing, on what they can do better. So if you would like to see that kind of stuff, again, our show Twitter is UltraChenTV. I'm sorry, our project Twitter is UltraChenTV. If you wanna tweet to UltraChenTV with that kind of a question, you can use the hashtag Lv3 Focus, Level 3 Focus, Lv3 Focus, and I'll look at that. Lv3 Focus is what it is. Yeah, and I'll look at that stuff, and I'd love to see matches linked. One thing that I do all the time is just watch videos, and that's one of the best ways to understand how to play and how to better your game. Is just to watch a lot of videos, because you'll see things that otherwise you might not be able to see. There are tricks that people are always coming out with that you can see. It's one of the main ways to stay on top of where the strategy is at, on top of where things like which characters are best is at. Tactics that are, for example, unblockables in Street Fighter 4. That's one of the best ways to find out that kind of new stuff, is just to watch. And in upcoming episodes, we'll talk about how to watch a Street Fighter video or fighting game video, what to look for in particular, how to understand what you're seeing, and then kind of how to apply it to your own game. Those are things that are very important to learn. So we'll be going over all that kind of stuff. And Actually, I guess that's all that I have for today. So I'm going to bring back James real fast and just kind of close this out. So thanks a lot for tuning in to the first night of UltraChenTV. Let's bring in Mr. jchensor. Cool.
Crash here onto the couch.
All right, cool. So,
What's going on, folks?
so James, thanks for helping set this up. I
Yeah,
mean, it's been really cool. Like we've been trying to work towards this for a little while now.
Trying to make sure that we could get all the kinks out, but obviously we have a lot of
Yeah, we got a lot. Yeah, we got a long ways to go.
So it's gonna start. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's really to be expected. So, we'll be doing this every Monday night, starting at 8 o'clock. First attack, and then level 3 focus, and then Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock we're gonna have a joint show.
Right. Which is currently nameless right now.
Currently nameless. Yep, that's one of the kinks we're gonna work out.
Yep.
Yeah. But that show is gonna have further match analysis.
Right.
It's gonna have some fun, like a fun little tweak on match analysis as well.
Right, right. And we're going to do all sorts of things, if we can get guests on there to talk about it. I would love, for example, a situation if we had a match with like Online Tony and Vi to actually have them come here and talk to them about it, and have them tell us what they were thinking and stuff like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. I know we want to talk a little bit about fighting game community history, and, where the scene has been, and potentially where it's going, and things like that. Maybe we'll do some live commentary on Xbox Live kind of stuff, or even on players who come here and show up. We'll have some exclusives, which would be cool. So lots of options. That show is a little bit more eclectic than this one. We'll be doing different things in that show from time to time.
For sure. So
yeah,
cool.
But cool. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight for the first night of UltraChenTV. Thanks for sticking with us despite like the stupid technical difficulties and trying to figure stuff out for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is tomorrow. I mean, we're gonna try to do our show right before Cross Counter TV.
Yeah.
So after that, definitely tune into Cross Counter TV afterwards. Wednesday, of course, Wednesday Night Fights is coming back.
Yep,
So
and we'll still be there, of course.
we'll be doing that as well. So
yeah, it's gonna be
in 3 weeks
a lot of
we'll
stuff.
be dead.
Yeah, I know.
In 3 weeks
We'll see how that goes.
we're like, all right, shows are done.
I know, right?
We
Yeah.
need sleep. Yeah, and then of course, a lot of the fighting game players around the community are streaming as well. I think Flo is actually going to stream later on today. He's going to stream some Soul Calibur lobby training mode stuff. Him learning the game. Obviously, he was one of the best players in Soul Calibur too. So
Right.
he's got a lot of experience with that game. So.
Yeah, and it'll be really cool to see that game more. I actually just picked it up right before I came here.
I haven't even.
And I was able to play it for like 20 minutes.
I need to pick that thing
You
up.
got to pick it up,
I
man.
need to pick it up.
I know a lot of people are picking it up. A lot of people who aren't even traditionally 3D players like us.
Right. Yeah, that's the
We're
thing. I've
trying it
never
out.
been good at a 3D game, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yep,
So.
and I'd love to at some point talk about that on my show, even though I have no expertise. I'd like to bring somebody on who knows stuff and talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds
cool.
good.
Well, thanks a lot for tuning in again, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same time, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, here at the same channel.
Yep, same bat channel.
That's right.
Same bat time, same bat channel. All right.
All right, thanks, guys.